and welcome back to yet an amazing episode of Minority Reportz podcast and digital series. Today, I have this amazing guest. He's not just a guest. He's also my brother. I've known him for 17 years. He's an absolutely outstanding actor, TV, stage. I mean, you name it, he's done it. He's currently the voice of Guy Diamond on Trolls on Netflix. If you haven't seen it, you got to check it out. It's the character that farts glitter, and what could be a better way to fart? Please welcome my friend, KRISHNAN. Sean, thank you so much for joining us.
Of course. Hi, Mona. Thanks for having me.
Man, it's always such a pleasure to have you. You are, literally one of my favorite humans on the planet.
Well, same. Thank you. Thank you. I was excited when you wanted to do this.
I'm so happy. And I like the fact that we're both wearing blue because that's like some telepathic sibling connection right here.
Psychic connection. I'm telling you. I knew. Blue.
Thank you. Look at that. Yeah. I hope we're not blue because of the whole coronavirus thing.
No, I hope not.
What
That's
in the
freaky,
fuck is going on right now?
I don't. How is it happening for you right now? I mean, like, your coworkers or anybody you're around, like, no one's coming out, no one's shaking. They're all doing this elbow thing.
I know, it's so weird. It's so okay. We were disconnected to begin with the texting and social media and people not getting together, and now we're down to elbows. Like, what is happening?
It's amazing you picked up on that. Of course you would, but I was thinking the same thing. Where it's like, nobody really engages the way they used to. They'll text instead of calling. That's right. Now you've got this to add it even more to the fire. I mean, people are just going to shut themselves in the closets. I don't know.
It's incredible. Yeah. I mean, what I want to know is, why did it take coronavirus to bring washing hands back in style? That's what I want to know. Have people not been washing their hands? It's gross.
They haven't. Some people just have nasty hygiene. I don't know.
They're just like, wash your hands. I'm like, really? That basic? Like, were you raised by a pack of wolves? Who the fuck raised you?
I think it's kind of like, now you have to wash your hands or die, basically.
Yeah.
So a little extra incentive.
You know what? I think even if you wash your hands, you're still, it's still airborne. I think you don't even have to touch the person. You can still, be breathing the same air and just pick it up. It's just absolutely ridiculous. Well, I'm having shows being canceled left and right. I had one major show coming up in June, and they just told us that they're going to delay it because they have to wait it out. They just have to see what happens. I have a show coming up on March 25th. I have comedians calling about asking me. They're like, is the show still happening? I'm like, I call up the venue, and I'm like, hey, is the show happening? They're like, it's still happening. I'm like, all right, I guess the show is still happening. So, I mean, it's this whole pandemic thing. How is it affecting you? Are you still going into Netflix and taping? Like, what's happening for you?
No, in fact, my agency has sent out a mass email, in fact, many that have, where specifically the voiceover side of things, where you sometimes would go into the agency to record if you wanted to, have, but a lot of us record from home as well. But they just sent an email out just saying, we are shutting down. No one's going to be in the office. Calls going to be forwarded. Wow. You have to record from home now, for the foreseeable future. So that's what's happening right now. Is that when you're auditioning and stuff, or they want you to cut it at home. As far as Trolls and other stuff, I guess we'll wait to see. As we are having some transitions with some things which, some things I can talk about, some things I can't because of an NDA.
Yeah.
The schedule had become a little more erratic anyway.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know now when they're going to pick up again as far as bringing people in, because that's different. You're actually recording a show. You want to be in the room, and everybody's behind the glass with the booth, and the director and everybody, and hopefully other actors, because that's the best when you can play off other people.
Right, of course.
So it is affecting everybody. You walk to the mall. I like to go hang out in the mall. I do. I troll the mall. In the evenings, just go for a walk with my wife.
What else are you supposed to do, right? With all your free time now? What else are you supposed to do? Go to the mall.
It is dead. It's just a ghost town,
what fascinates me is that, first of all, they were talking about, the virus came from China and somebody was eating pangolin meat. First of all, who the fuck is eating pangolin meat? Have you heard of chicken? Have you heard of beef? Have you heard of pork? Why are you
apparently
eating
all
this?
Tastes like chicken, but I don't know. I don't know why.
It's gross.
Some people eat some crazy crap, man. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be
no.
in any way insensitive to people's different culinary taste, but some stuff, don't eat it.
Listen, you can eat you can eat stuff, but then keep the disease to yourself. Like, I don't need to have it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I absolutely agree. But is that what happened? Can they prove that? Because they're saying it's a myth. People had bat soup, and like, no, it wasn't bat soup. But I don't know. I mean, they also put a law down in China about like not eating
exotic animals. Yeah,
exotic animals.
Yeah.
And during the SARS outbreak, many years ago.
That's right. That's right.
They tried to implement something like that again, and they couldn't. It just was something that just people couldn't, adopt.
I mean, this is a global pandemic where people are going to lose their jobs. They're not going to have enough money to survive. God knows how long it's going to take to, find a cure. Not to be a conspiracy theorist here, but I have a very strong feeling, and I'm going to predict this right here. China already has the cure. They're just waiting it out for people to start getting desperate, governments to start getting desperate, and they're like, oh, by the way, we have a cure. It's going to cost you $1 gajillion. Give us all your money. Yes, I really do. I think the Chinese government is wicked. They don't even give a fuck about their own people. Do you think they give a fuck about the rest of the world? They don't. I mean, look at what they're doing to Muslims, putting them in concentration camps in China right now. It's fucking outrageous. And now we got the coronavirus coming out of there. The Chinese government doesn't care. I'm not talking about the Chinese people. I'm talking about the Chinese government. Yeah. The governments are wicked. They don't care. They really don't. I don't know. I'm just going to I'm going to put this out there right now. I'm going to say the Chinese government already has the cure. I mean, the guy who discovered it died. The poor guy died. He's like the one who was calling it out. He's like, look, there's going to be this horrible disease that's going around, and the poor guy died. Like, he sacrificed his life. He's a hero. But now here we are.
He is a hero, and I know, it's one of the things they were trying to do was to avoid like an economic shutdown or fingers pointed. I think they just tried to suppress the whole thing, but that just made it spread more.
That's exactly what happened.
It's worldwide known now that did happen. That has happened.
I mean, and all of Italy is shut down.
There's not any accountability for that. I don't think so, but that's what happened.
Yep, exactly. Oh my God. Well, I hope you stay safe, and I'm definitely planning on. I'm definitely not hanging out at the mall, so that's not happening for me, brother. I'm not doing it. But I wanna talk to you about your amazing career. I mean, I feel like you have been one of the pioneers when it comes to being a South Asian actor. Not just an actor of South Asian descent. I know you did this incredible. Did you do Rafta Rafta in New York?
I did Rafta Rafta off Broadway in New York. It was a British play initially.
Yeah.
And then they did the American premiere, and I was part of the original cast for that. And it was a hit.
Right.
It ran for the longest time.
Yeah.
And then it was supposed to go to Broadway, but then the whole 2008 economic crash happened, and it got pulled. that part of it.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I mean, so now you worked with a very major director. Who did you work with on Broadway? Please refresh my memory. I'm trying to remember.
Well, I mean, I've worked with a variety of different people. I mean, back in New York, I worked with Tony Kushner. The playwright. And, but Declan Donnellan was brought in from England to direct that. I've worked with a lot of British people, strangely.
Yeah.
And so he directed that.
Well, the British people do stage really well. Very well trained.
They're really well trained. Mm-hmm. It's really part of their culture. People just go and watch plays.
That's right.
And I think it's a wonderful thing, And I don't mean like the mega musicals and stuff that people kind of think it's fashionable to go see that. I'm talking about it's a story on a stage, and it'll be just done amazingly so. Fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, so
and affordable over there.
London. Absolutely. I mean, the culture in London is so much. I mean, everybody wants to go to the West End. Every actor's dream is to perform in the West End. It's a really big deal. Have you performed at the West End?
Not the West End. No. Ironically, I tend to do a lot of British plays. I play British parts in America with British directors and sometimes British actors. But I haven't gone to London. When I first started, and I was about to make my way from Canada either to the States. My other option was England. And because of all at that time, especially 20-something years ago, a lot of films that we could see, My Beautiful Laundrette, whatever, and actors of South Asian descent, or what they call Asian over there. They just
That's Asian. Right. That's right. We're just Asian there.
They were from England. those things were happening there. Much more interesting parts that were being done in Canada or America at that time.
Yeah.
But I chose to come back to New York, and I'm glad I did. New York will always have a place in my heart.
Of course. Really, now, we're both New Yorkers, right? And now we both live in Los Angeles.
Where we met.
Exactly. That's exactly where we met. Do you remember where we met?
Yeah, I remember I was trying to find a production that I was in that day, and so were you. And I saw this random beautiful person on the street, and I thought I'd ask her. Maybe she's brown. She must be going to the same place. And I asked her, do you know where such and such is? And he went, no, I don't.
You're like the brownie connection. The best part.
No. I'm teasing him. But then it's like, okay, there's nobody on the street, whatever. Then when I got there, and we met actually on the shoot itself.
That's correct. And it was for College Humor. They did a parody for Slumdog Millionaire.
Yeah.
And you played one of the thugs, and I played the mother who gets shot.
Yes, I remember. I remember.
And I don't know if you remember this, but the director, a white dude, walked up to us and he was like, does anybody speak Hindi here? And I was like, yeah, I do. And he goes, can you give us some profanity words, And I taught you bhenchod, maro unko bhenchod that day, which means...
I remember.
Kill them sister fuckers. That's what it translates to.
You're my swear captain. You're my swear coach.
I am your swear captain. Yes. I taught you maro unko bhenchod, which means kill them sister fuckers. Because we're very big on sister fucking, apparently. I don't know why that is a thing in our culture.
It's just a thing. It's just that you just throw it out there. Yeah, but I remember. You were really amazing. And you're really helpful too. And most importantly, formed an amazing friendship. It was wonderful. So.
Honestly, we've always kept in touch since then. I mean, I've known you for 16, 17 years now already? Holy shit.
Yes. It's been a while.
I feel old. I feel so old. This camera is making me look really nice right now, but holy shit, I feel so old.
Not at all.
I feel friggin' old. What is, let me ask you this. I mean, you and I have had some really in-depth conversations about our lives, about, what got us into being artists and stuff. I mean, how was it with your family when they found out that you were going to become an actor? Like, were your parents supportive? I mean, you started at a time where, it wasn't a thing. South Asian kids didn't go and become artists. Like, what was that like for you? And being Canadian, Canadian American, Canadian born, desi guy. And then how was that like for your parents?
I think at first when I would talk about it, they thought, oh, he's just he's just a kid. He's just talking some nonsense. Because I spoke about it pretty early. Mm-hmm. I must have been 15 or whatever. And then when I started getting serious about it, closer to the end of high school, they thought I was going to go into law. And they were worried. They were upset. And of course, teachers, especially in a small town, rural Canada, they weren't very supportive either. But, I got a play at school. It was Guys and Dolls, and I was playing the Marlon Brando part. I played the lead in it.
Wow.
And my mom dragged my dad to the show. He said, okay, fine, I'll go see it. And he watched the play, the musical. And then apparently after the show, he said to my mom, he's really got something. Wow. I want to help him. Wow. I want to help him. And he is the one who found the audition for my drama school. And they had the reservations, but they championed me after that. And then as I started to do well, and my dad would be sitting in the back row, he'd be taking notes. You got to act more. You got to random stuff. But they cared.
That's amazing.
I was very lucky. I've heard horror stories especially with very conservative families, which mine wasn't at all.
Sure.
But in South Asian families, they just didn't get it.
Yeah. Yeah.
My family saw the love and passion that I had and recognized that. And I'll always appreciate that.
I love that so much. I mean, my story. I mean, we've talked about my story. My story was none of the above. It was not, my parents did not support in kind of any form or shape. I mean, my oldest brother told me that only girls from bad families become artists, and because you have to be a hooker to become, and hookers have careers too, and God bless, there's nothing wrong with being a hooker. Somebody's got to do the job. God bless, listen, it's just another job.
So much misinformation, right? They're just so misinformed often,
That's
that
correct.
generation.
That's correct.
Yeah.
I remember my mom calling up this couple friend, this Desi couple friend. I forget they were Indian or Pakistani. I don't remember. And I remember my mom calling them up and telling them I was about 17, and I told my mom that, I wanted to become an artist. I kind of secretly just told her. And she called up this couple friend of hers who were becoming directors in Hollywood. They weren't doing shit. Of course, I didn't know who they were back then. So it was like, oh, they're becoming director. It's like, you ain't doing shit. Like, so my mom, I remember my mom calling them and asking them, like, hey, my daughter wants to become, a performer. Like, what do you think? What kind of stuff would be required of her? And would my daughter have to do topless scenes? That was my mom's biggest concern. Is she going to be nude on camera? That was the biggest concern. And they said, oh yeah, oh my God, yeah. If she's going to Hollywood, she definitely has to take her top off. She definitely has to take her clothes off. And my mom was like, oh my God, no, I can't have my daughter take her clothes off in front of camera. And I was like, do you know how much money people make when they take their clothes off in front of camera? Have you heard of the fucking Kardashians? Holy shit. Right. Those bitches are billionaires. I could have been a billionaire, but my mom crushed my dream early on. I'm just kidding. She crushed my dream of doing nude scenes. But that kind of like ignorance and that kind of misinformation from people, by the way, who aren't even doing jack shit, right? Who are like posturing and being like, oh yeah, I'm becoming a director. It's like, no, you ain't doing shit. That is what, and then you're passing on this bullshit ass information that you have to be, that as a girl that I have to take my top off or my clothes off. No one has ever asked me to take my clothes off. As a matter of fact, they've asked me to put my clothes back on. They're like, please cover that shit up. Nobody wants to see it.
Come on.
It's just like this kind of level of ignorance and this kind of misinformation. Like, as a guy, has anyone ever told you this? Oh, Sean, don't become an actor because you have to take your clothes off. Did you have to ever go through this shit?
No, it's completely one-sided. I mean, it's completely sexist, right? I mean, the assumption is, though, I actually remember like a family doctor or something. This is back in Canada once again. They just assume that, like, oh, you must be gay. If you're an actor, that you guys must be doing all kinds of stuff, or sleeping with a lot of women. One should be so lucky.
Right?
I'm joking. But the point is that there are all these assumptions about, what you will have to do or not do, or you're going to starve or this. And in my case, I'm pretty cut and dry. I was very blessed with my mom and my dad. They were very good people. I cannot say the same about, and I don't care that this is out there, but certain extended family, or even people that, whether it's high school counselors or whatever else like that, whenever there was anything like very negative, or even came from, you could tell it was like a snide place, or like, who do you think you are? You think you can do this?
Oh,
I find I cut them out. I cut them out in the sense I kept a real distance. And it's funny to me now. We always aspire for more, and I hope to be doing a lot more work and more creative work. But I'm very proud of the things I've gotten to do. And now to have those same people kind of reach out to me on some social media and be like, oh, I remember when you were this, and we're so proud of you, blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking, that's not what you said 20-something years ago.
Of course not.
You're very disparaging. I remember this. But I didn't say that. I don't say that. I just said, oh, thank you very much.
Wow.
But I remember, the people will be there during your struggling as well as your success.
Yeah.
And you have to keep good people close to you and poison away.
Oh, my God.
Unfortunately, it's difficult when it's misinformation and it's people who are very close to you. You don't want to cut those people out. I understand.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
No, I mean, there's a lot of, also because, like you, like me, we're still like the new kids on the block in the sense that we are literally like the first generation that has taken that leap from instead of going to law school or becoming a doctor or whatever to becoming an artist. I mean, that's a huge jump and a leap but also for our parents, they didn't have a point of reference. I mean, my parents didn't have a point of reference. There's no artist in our family. Where the hell does she get it from? Why does she even think she has the audacity to believe that she can even do it? Right? I mean, that's...
And you're doing it. You are doing it.
I'm doing it. You've been doing it. I've been doing it. I feel like we have... Honestly, the fuckers who are going to come after us, the other generation, the younger generation, they should thank us because we have broken so many molds for them and we've broken so many barriers down for them to pave an easier way, and an easier path for them. So, fuckers. I'm talking to you younger generation.
I wish people would realize that, it's all a building block for future generations.
That's right.
And we do it out of love and other needs that we do it. But, listen, if one kid in the schoolyard can watch something I play on TV or listen to my Trolls character or something else and feel like, it's okay to look a certain, have a certain look or have a certain accent or voice.
Yeah.
And it can be the cool one, can be the interesting one, not the butt of jokes.
Yeah.
It makes that kid's life a little easier. I feel good.
Yeah.
I feel really good.
Of course.
I do.
I mean, it's amazing. Like, you and I talk a lot about our childhoods when we hang out.
Yeah.
And I think what I want to know is, as an artist, like, how much does pain and trauma play a role in your drive, in your work? Where, like, is it a factor for you as far when it comes to your drive and your passion for this craft?
I'm really glad you asked that question. Okay, so when I first started out, I think for almost all artists that really kind of pursue it, there is an intrinsic need for approval.
Yep.
There is something which will drive you. Because you might have the facility for it, you might have talent or abilities, but at some point, I think very early on, if given how challenging this can be, even when you're playing a part and you're losing yourself into it, or you're kind of sublimating your ego, right? You don't get to be entirely yourself. Sorry to get in all acting terms here, but I think people leave it. They're like, why am I doing this? But for the rest of us, we didn't choose it. It really kind of chose us.
Yes.
And you kind of take further. So in the beginning, yes, there was. And I think that's why I play, I fart glitter now for a living, right?
Yes, you do fart glitter for a living.
And the characters the writers were so good to me, and we'll talk about that. But, I got to do so much into it. But I started out playing very tortured roles, like, Tony KRISHNAN's play on Broadway, off-Broadway, was about Kabul, and, I would play these very dark parts that I'd try and find the bitter humor and irony in things, but I would go to those places because there was something driving me.
Yeah.
There's something I understood about those darker places. It wasn't all just fluff. And so I was getting those parts. I would crash auditions, frankly, sometimes. Mm-hmm. Literally. I wouldn't even have a proper agent. And I'm very appreciative that I would get the role.
Yeah.
There was something in me, that catharsis that had to come out. And, it shifted to what that part was.
Yeah.
But yeah, of course, I think. I mean, do you feel that way? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, for me, like, everything I do, career and non-career, is, kind of laden in pain and trauma. I've talked to you about my kind of abusive childhood that I grew up with, and just the kind of trauma that we had in our family. When it came to not just abuse from my father, but also abuse from my mom too. That was just a thing that we just kind of grew up with. I remember in Pakistan, I was in 8th grade, and I remember walking up to one of my classmates. I had just started my 8th grade, and I asked her, and I think I mentioned in one of the previous episodes before, I asked her, I was like, hey, how often does your dad beat your mom? And she was like, what? And I was like, how often does your dad beat your mom? And he's like, what the hell are you talking about? That's not a thing. That's a horrible thing. Is that what you experience? And I was like, yeah, doesn't everybody have that? Doesn't everybody's dad beat their moms up? And she goes, no, that's fucking crazy. That's insane. No, that's not normal. I mean, and feel free to not divulge if you don't want to talk about it. But what kind of, I guess, traumas have you experienced, or what kind of pains, if you just want to speak in general terms, that have affected you and that continue to drive you?
Okay. And thank you for sharing also what you just said right now. I always say it. I always tell Savita, like, what an amazing human being you are. With those challenges you've faced to become the amazing person you are, an artist you are. So I just have to put that out there.
I love you too.
What I will share, what I feel comfortable, because my parents have passed on now.
Yes. Yes.
To honor them, they were, and I want to say what happened after that as well. They were wonderful people. They were good people, and they loved each other very much. And you saw it near the end. My mom had passed away 20 years before my dad.
Yeah.
Kidney troubles, and the way he would go to the hospital, the way she would call even in a delirium on the phone and ask for him, to come to the hospital. Where is he? They loved each other, but they were mismatched.
Yeah.
They came from different cultures. They're both Tamilian, South Indian, but he was Hindu, she was Catholic. Different castes, in fact, as well. But and age difference by about 6 to 8 years.
Well.
And they fell in love, broke all odds and everything. But I think there were cultural expectations or societal expectations from both of them, and it kind of permeated the marriage. So, unfortunately, there was a lot of friction at home, right?
Yeah.
So, not to go on and on about it, but the thing is, if you have a child, an only child, like myself, and who I am, an empathetic person, I think that's something where when I talk to somebody, I see them for who they are and where they're at. But when you have that ability as a very young child, you don't know what it is, you also take in people's pain and trauma, and you want, like a sponge, you soak it in, right?
Yep.
So I think I held on to that. And, growing up in Canada during the 80s, and late 70s, dating myself here. But there was a lot of racism that had spilled over from the UK to Canada. Indians, Pakistanis, we were not well liked. And it was not justified. Just because some of us parents wore different clothes or we had different foods. You couldn't walk down the street without having somebody yell an obscenity at you.
Wow.
Wow. So my earliest memory as a kid was that racism.
Wow.
So, when you and that'll affect your sense of identity as well.
Of course.
So anyway, so you put all those things together, but I was naturally a very happy child. Like my parents, I'm glad I had that. Some people lean in one direction and no judgment either way. But I think I sit in that place, which saved me, because then even though I had these other challenges, my natural inclination is to kind of go and look for the brightness and the beauty in the world.
Yes. Yes.
And so I would try and fight through things. So anyway, that's where it started from me, I think. And in Canada, it's a beautiful country and they're good people, but also it's a very cold country and people are very reserved. Yeah. So, here, I love about America is they're very open. They like you. They'll like you. Your friend will throw their arms around you or whatever. They hate you, will throw a can at you. It's fine, New York especially. But Canada was very reserved that way. So, if you were a very expressive person, it wasn't the place I felt very comfortable with. I'm not judging other Canadian actors and artists who stayed there, but I very quickly felt that I needed to leave to be all I could be as a human being and as an artist as well. But I just wanted to tell you one thing, though. Though it all started with that, over the course of the last 20-something years, right? I have changed and altered, and I sit now a lot more in that happy place. And it also affects the kind of parts I get, but I still feel I have experience and knowledge now to give a lot to even the parts I play to find both poles. But it isn't driven by that pain in the same way. I don't feel the need to torture myself psychologically in the same way. I'm able to, and I don't phone it in. That's not at all what I'm talking about. But I think it's more nuanced now, what I can look for and find, and I can leave that and come home to my wife, my child, my friends, my hobbies, whatever it is, and enjoy my life with a peace that I've not been able to do before. And that's a beautiful thing. You can get there. I'm very, very happy that way.
That's incredible. I am still struggling as I guess as a person. I think I've gotten in a way better place than I used to be, even from 2 years ago, who I am, who I have become. Honestly, I don't know what's happened to me between last year to this year. I feel like I've woken up to myself. I don't know how else to express this.
Really? How? Tell me.
I feel like I am no longer I take people for what they tell me. I no longer try to make up a story or a backstory, about people or situations. I just take it for face value. I no longer also myself to take stuff I have for granted. I guess maybe around the younger years I have in my 20s, when I entered my 30s, I was a little bit, kind of, I'm young, I'm this and that. But now I'm just like, I feel grounded. I feel like I feel a lot less apologetic about my existence. I feel a lot apologetic about my choices, about the things that I say. I don't torture myself the way I used to, where I would just zoom into something someone said or did, and I'm like, oh my God, they said this, and what should I do? And this is making me a horrible person.
Did I lose you?
No. Okay, can you hear me? Did you hear me or no?
Now I can hear you. Okay. Broke up a little bit there, but I'm following you. Go on.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I just feel awake. I feel woken. I feel like there's something happening to me where I am opening up to myself and embracing myself in a way that I have never embraced myself. And
that's wonderful.
Yeah. And I feel like I'm just kind of in a place where I'm like, if you don't like me, it's fine. You're not supposed to be liked by everybody. I'm not.
Exactly.
Exactly. I'm not air. I'm a person. Like, air is liked by everyone because you need it to breathe. But, but even after a while, people get, a little cold if too much air hits them. But, even air is not that likable. So I feel like I'm okay with it. It's like, sometimes I'll do sets where sometimes people will walk up to me, maybe desi people or non-desi people. And they'll be like, I didn't like the way you said this and that. And honestly, I don't want to be rude, but I'm just like, I don't care. I really don't care. It's not for everybody. If you don't like it, you are welcome to leave. You don't like something, you are welcome to turn it off. Like, it's okay.
I'm so happy to hear you say that. That's it, isn't it?
Right.
That's really where it's at.
Yeah.
Is that you don't need that validation. You feel like you love who you are. You know who you are, and you did what you needed to do. And they're either going to take it one way or the other, and that's out of your control, right?
I mean, I'm not here to please everybody, right? I'm not everybody's cup of tea, just like everybody's not my cup of tea, I mean, what do you think is, what do you think is like a thing that you would say, I guess, not to get all cheesy about this, but, as like younger artists who are coming up after us, of our descent or even not of our descent, like, what is the one key takeaway that, becoming an artist has done for you? Or, how has it, shaped you for the person that you are today?
Oh my God, it saved my life. There's like two questions. I mean, you want to answer like what's done for me, or what I would give to, what I would say to somebody
Answer
else?
Both.
Okay, for me personally, I had no other choice. I had to do this because if I had gone into law or something else, there would have been something eating so deeply at me. I've grown as a person. Whatever levels of anxiety that I may have experienced in the past, people talk about anxiety or whatever. I had some forms of that many, many years ago. It's gone. It's completely gone.
Wow.
And I think through the work you do on yourself in whatever capacity, whatever place, and in your work as an artist, there is healing that can come out of that, depending on how you approach that work. If you don't damage yourself.
That's right.
Trying to I'll slit my wrist for my art. No, that was not the point of this.
That's right.
The point was the art would heal you and heal maybe others. I don't know. That's my takeaway on it. So I would think it made me realize I'm enough. I'm more than enough, frankly. Mm-hmm. I'm very, and I don't mean that in an egotistical way.
Yeah.
I don't even mean it in an overconfident way. I just mean it in a way of just understand how valuable you are as a sentient human being.
Yeah.
As a person and your abilities. And when you can kind of have that comfort in who you are, it's not that you'll never take criticism or try and grow in your discipline or art or as a person.
Yeah.
It's just that you will not take it so damn personally. Yeah. You'll not fall apart and go to pieces if somebody, didn't like what you did. If you understood why you did what you did or how it could alter or how it could affect people in different ways, you'll maybe make a different decision next time, but it won't fracture you.
Right.
And I think when people get into this very early on, they're fractured. Yeah. I think, most actors and artists are fractured.
Yeah.
And you can come together, you can put yourself together and not lose your ability. Like, I won't be as good an artist if I don't hurt myself this way. And I mean, in different facets. I mean, people shoving, some hardcore drugs up their nose.
Sure.
Many years ago, I would witness this, and I had one actor say to me, "Oh, it'll make you such a good actor."
Wow.
And because he was trying to get me to do it. And I thought, and I said to him, like, and I wasn't being arrogant. I just knew what my abilities were.
Yeah.
I don't need that.
Right.
I don't need that to do what I need to do. In fact, frankly, I want clarity of thought.
Exactly.
Because whatever it is I need to get out of me has to come from there. That's from some like non-lucid state where I'm all gunked out of my head on stage, sniffing my nose because I've been shoving coke up there or something.
I mean, my God.
No, so for me, I was never into that stuff. That's not my thing.
I can't afford drugs. Yeah, I can't afford them. So there's that. It's either rent or drugs. So take your pick. I'm not. I'm not living out of my car doing cocaine. Yeah,
that would be my takeaway. Basically, is that just be good to yourself and understand your value.
Yes.
Right. So even when you audition, even when you go in the room, I'll go and I know what it's like to walk in a room and the guys looked at me like the room's full of like 10 people. It's come to that stage, and the director look at me and be like, "Yeah, he's not the guy." Turn around, and I'm thinking, you know what? I know who I am.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it because I came all the way. And then I'll do my thing.
Yeah.
And then perhaps perceptions have changed in the room. Perhaps I'll even book the job.
Sure. I mean, I mean, I love it. I love that so much. I love your character, Guy Diamond. I watch Trolls religiously because you're in it, so that just gives me an extra incentive to watch it. And so, how did that role come about? How did you end up getting that role? Can you tell us? You clearly you bring so much to that character. I mean, so much to that character. That character to me, every time I swear, Sean, even if I didn't know you, every time that character comes on, something just changes for me when I watch Trolls. Something just changes. It just lights it up. There's just this extra edge. There's just this extra thing. I love the Poppy. I love Branch. I love all those characters. But for me, whenever Guy Diamond comes on, it just lights it up. So can you tell us a little bit more about how did that character come around? Did they make you audition for it? Did they just give it to you? How did that come around?
No, I'm glad you asked me that. Okay, so I've never done an animation before. I mean, I'm a stage guy, on-camera guy, but I somehow got into voiceovers and got with a very good agency, at the time. And it was just an audition like any other. The movie had come out, and, they put this character in the movie, and it was played by a wonderful actor. Kunal Nair from Big Bang Theory.
Yep.
He does it in the movie. But I guess in the movie... most of what he would say, there were only I think he only says one phrase or two sentences in the entire movie.
Yeah.
Most of it was a sight gag. And in the one or two lines he said, they would auto-tune, right?
Yeah.
So, but he was present in the movie. So when they decided to make the television version, for Netflix, they needed a sound alike. So, and I play a lot of British Indian parts and, in Indian parts as well. So just dialects don't come to me. So I went and auditioned, and I auditioned 6 or 7 times or whatever. It just went on for months. I don't know. I just thought what is this? And anyway, I got the part, and I was like, okay, cool. And even my agent at the time, one of them, he said, yeah, we didn't even think it'd be this much. Meaning what happened, because I did over 100 episodes and there's more coming.
Yeah.
But the point is that after the first episode, I go in and I fart my glitter and I say my one line or whatever. And it's wonderful people involved, really great people.
Yeah.
About a couple episodes in, or an episode in, I get a call from the showrunner. I hope I'm allowed to say this. I think I am. He's a wonderful, amazing guy and and director. Talented guy called Matt Beans.
Yeah.
And he said, Sean, we actually want to go in a little bit of a different direction and give the supporting characters some more focus.
Yeah.
And so we have a great episode with you and Smidge, played by the amazing and very well-known Kevin Michael Richardson in the voiceover world. He's phenomenal.
Oh.
Yeah, he's this huge, big, strong black man who plays this little girl on the show. And he's just so funny. And so we had an episode starting together. Anyway, the point is that I grew up in a very, unusual household. My mom was really into British TV shows. I'd watch Doctor Who and all these things and stuff that none of the other hockey and soccer playing white Canadian kids could relate to. So as isolating as that was, I grew up watching Are You Being Served and all these shows like our version of BBC that we had in Canada at the time and other stuff. That's the world I know. It became very much a part of me. And so the irony is that all of the unusual things and interests I had as a child, Benny Hill, whatever, I don't know who this is going to resonate with any of the audience, but these were all like really famous shows we'd all watch on TV back then. If you were in like a colonial country, I guess way to put it, Canada. But I brought that to it. And the writers were so good to me over the course of like years. They really took to what I was doing and allowed me to completely depart from the movie, add to the movie, let's put it that way, and take Guy Diamond into a larger arena. And he got to be this well-meaning guy who's fabulous. You don't even know if he's gay or straight or asexual or what he is. And he's just fantastic. And he's strong-minded and he's the cool one. Yet he's got this accent. Yeah. And they start dropping a lot of the auto-tuning and allowing me to do like large swaths of dialogue. They started letting me sing in the show. And yet he'd be kind of a little bit vain, but he doesn't mean to be. And they had opposites to write for and opposites to play with. Yeah. And the writers they had a field day with it. It was really great. And I think you'll see in the movie coming out, I think I'm not spoiling anything, that the trailer, Guy Diamond has a baby. Played by Keenan from SNL, he plays Tiny Diamond. So, and he lives in, well, I can't give more detail about that. But the point is that it's...
I'm so excited now.
It's been such a joy. Of all the things I've ever gotten to play in my career, this has been the most of who I am, has been able to come out. The stuff they've allowed Guy Diamond to do, the relationships he gets to have. I'm so glad some kid somewhere gets to watch this, hear somebody speak like that. You're not sure if they have two daddies or two mommies or what it is. I mean, you'll get a different sense of things as it goes on. Yeah. I'm not going to put anything specific out there. I'm not labeling him in one way or another. Yeah. I'm just saying is that it's just such an exciting character for so many people in different places. I'm happy it's been received that way.
Honestly, I love anything. Well, the show of the name of our show is Minority Reports. I'm all about that inclusivity, Yeah. Even the white guys, I think even straight white guys need allies. Like they really do.
Sure.
Like Trump needs gay friends. Like somebody needs to tell him that hairstyle, it's no bueno. If he had gay friends, he wouldn't look like garbage, right? We all need allies. We all do. We all do.
Need allies.
We all need allies.
Absolutely do.
We
do.
So what? So besides Troll Dwarf, you have some other projects lining up. Can we talk a little bit about that? If you're at the, do you have the courtesy to talk about it? I mean, you don't have to.
Unfortunately, I don't. I mean, there's something that's coming up in the voiceover world. Yeah. And I mean, you probably have a good idea, but like I said, I can't go and talk about those things, unfortunately. As far as on camera goes, I had something recently air called for the Oprah Network. And it was called Cherish the Day, where I play this venture capitalist who comes in, and I don't want to spoil anything about what that episode is for people who watch that show. But I do appreciate that I've gotten to play these parts, which are, not the stereotypical stuff, we had to do like years ago, like the cab driver and stuff like that.
Thank God.
But,
jeez, thank God.
And the usual, what's that?
Thank God we don't have to play those stupid roles anymore.
Well, yeah, no, exactly. I mean, like it's definitely easier to write for that, and I think, some actors have made a very good living, finding the humor in those genres. Mm-hmm. I don't want to, for those of us who are a little more specific, and people are not used to seeing someone who looks like me play a detective or in America.
That's right.
In UK, no problem, but. I think they need to be more open to that. Yeah. That so someone like me is a little more specific, right? But it's nice when those parts do come around. I'm given those opportunities. Yep. But yeah, it's gotten better. It's gotten better. It needs to get better. Yeah. And as the usual actor journeyman goes, I mean, like any of us, I'll get very close to something. I'm about to get something, and then some executive last second will be like, well, maybe you could be a little bit younger or a little bit older, or maybe you could be like Chinese, I don't know. Something like that will happen, and that's difficult when you get that close up the totem pole. You think you're showing up for the table read the next day, and then suddenly it gets yanked from you. That's happened to me a couple times now. Yeah. But you just shake it off, and you hear all the wonderful things they said, and you realize how close you got. I've had a lot of that stuff, Yeah. And you keep going. I know what it's like to finish an audition in the room, and the director is being very kind to give me a 2-minute diatribe about what he witnessed and what he felt about it. But the subtext is, but I can't give you this job, but you need to keep going because you need to be seen. Somebody needs to showcase this. But it won't work on my project. Yeah. But and I appreciate when someone of that stature, and I won't say who that was, can do stuff like that.
Of course.
But you take that and you hold on to be like, you know what? I'm so proud of the things that I've done, and there are things to come, and you keep going.
Honestly, for me, I more often than not, for me, it's I walk into auditions, I do my thing, I leave, and I'm like, that sucked, that was awful, and then my agent or manager will call me and be like, "Hi, you booked the job." Yeah, they're like, "You booked the job." Yeah. I'm like, "Wait, what? Which audition tape did they watch?"
Right.
What are they watching? So I'm always baffled when they book me for the job. I'm like, really? Okay. All right. I guess so. Okay.
I'm not surprised.
Cool.
It's very common to beat yourself up, right? Because you think like you second or third guess yourself. You better just to put it out of your head if you can.
Yeah, exactly. I'm definitely working on that. But, Brother Sean, do you want to give us your where can we find you? Instagram, Facebook, where can we find you?
Yes, you can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Twitter, even Facebook. But I'm a little more selective with that because that's more for family and friends. But sometimes I will post stuff on there. It's usually, Shanti Krishnan.
Yes.
You'll find me there.
Awesome. Well, this was so much fun. Thank you so much for joining us.
It was. Thank you.
And we'll I'll definitely see you soon.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks. Well, this was another amazing episode. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, please do watch. Please, we are streaming on all major platforms. Share it with your friends. Share it on your social media. Don't forget to tag us. We love you. I'll see you next time.